So I was sent this video by Mr. Geoff Cavaliere titled 6% body fat is ideal for men. Parentheses, naturally, harsh truth. So some of this video I agree with, most of it I disagree with, and they're talking about strength, aesthetics, and athletics. Let's start with that last one.
Much lower body fat levels, not 6, but much lower body fat levels, or in some cases, like DK Metcalf, 6.
Yeah. Okay, so DK Metcalf is not 6% body fat. I know he was measured at like 1.6 or 1.8 body fat or whatever. That's also completely inaccurate. Like, if you're that level of body fat percentage, 2% or whatever, you're dead. But he's not even 6%, okay? Maybe in the perfectly optimized men's health photo shoot pictures where he's, pumped, he has a tan. Well, doesn't need a tan. He has the perfect lighting, the perfect angle. They take literally hundreds of pictures and they select the best one to put on the magazine. Maybe in that world, he looks 6%. But in reality, he's not 6%. In fact, in some of these pictures, he looks probably like 11%, maybe 10%. So he's nowhere near 6%. Maybe in Cavaliere land, but in the real world, he's nowhere near 6%.
There's rugby players who are incredibly athletic, right? Who have all elements of speed, strength. Certain ones are doing it at very low levels of body fat.
Okay, so most rugby players, nowhere near 6%. Okay, just Google search best rugby players shirtless. You might want to clear your search history afterwards. And look at what comes up. Mostly closer to 15%. Some of them appear almost 20% body fat. Very few of them are even 10% body fat, and exactly 0 of them are 6%.
One of our friends, Michael Chandler.
Oh, yeah.
Excelling at this. We're not just doing okay, excelling in his sport at very lean levels of body fat.
Okay, so this MMA guy, and this isn't hit on any one of these individuals, but he's not 6% body fat. Again, with the perfect lighting, the photo shoot, with the angles, flexing, posing, probably with a pump, and everything optimized, yeah, maybe he looks very, very lean, but then you take a screenshot from a video and suddenly he's not 10% body fat, let alone 6% body fat, okay? So he's probably closer to like 11, 12, 13% body fat.
Serge Ibaka, NBA player, one of the best defenders, did so at very lean levels of body fat, great levels of muscularity too.
And this guy Serge, again, this isn't hate, but if you look at non-optimized photos, so again, with the lighting and everything, just natural, in the water, at the beach, with the family, relaxed, he is not 10% even, let alone 8% or even 6%, okay? So a lot of these guys, when you see them, not even in the off-season, but especially in the off-season, they are probably getting closer to the teens rather than the single digits.
His name is Brian Clay. He was 5'10", 180, he was 8% body fat.
So with Brian Clay, anytime someone says they are a certain body fat percentage, oh, I am 8%, I am 7.6%, you can tell that they don't know what they're talking about. It's an estimate. It is a range. Oh, maybe he's 8 to 10%, maybe he's 10 to 12%, okay? So it's just an estimate. And that's true even if you get a DEXA, even if you get a bod pod, even if you get calipers, it's just an estimate. And with Brian Clay, when you look at non-optimized photos, when he's not in the perfect lighting, flexing, posing, etc., he's not 8%, okay? Again, he actually looks maybe closer to like 12, 13%, or perhaps even more, okay? So you have to take into account the fact that what you see is not always reality. And I think what is happening is that Geoff Cavaliere just doesn't know what a certain body fat percentage looks like. And I know that's a ridiculous statement, given the fact that leanness is his brand. You would think he would know. Given the fact that he has millions of followers, he puts out tons of content that can influence lots of people. You would think he would know, but he doesn't. For example, these are from his website, and it was an article written by him. Body fat percentage, 1 to 4%. And he says that this is tough even for pro bodybuilders to sustain. No one is sustaining 1 to 4% body fat. The fact that he could even write this is very surprising. Then we go up to 5 to 7% body fat, which is the ATHLEAN range. It's more accessible for a lot of guys. Requires strong dedication. Well, it requires a lot of obsessive behaviors, probably some EDs, and most people are going to go through hell to get here, let alone even trying to sustain this. So this is completely ridiculous, and anyone who actually knows what this percentage actually is reading this and just going, oh my god. 8 to 10%. More sustainable. It's seen as a healthy look by many and associated with the classic beach body. No, it's not. At 8 to 10%, vascularity and striations are less present. Oh god. 8 to 10% body fat is pretty freaking dice. Like it's not stage condition, but it's getting there. It's very, very close. But there are still some you have a lot of striations at 8 to 10% body fat. And a smoother look. Listen, if you're actually 8, 9, 10% body fat, nothing about you looks smooth. Not even your ass looks smooth. Body fat percentage, 11 to 12%. Some abdominal definition. Listen, if you have any amount of muscle and you've trained your abs at all, you have a full six-pack at 11 to 12%, and perhaps like some veins in your abs, probably some oblique definition, probably serratus coming in, etc. I would say I'm about 11 to 12% body fat now, and probably the 12%, not 11%. And then he writes, for example, you want to oil yourself up and shine a bright light at yourself like this guy did. But who wants to walk around all slimy all the time? So he's basically saying that you want to be below 11 to 12% body fat so that you look completely freaking peeled all the time. Next he says body fat percentage 20 to 24%. The average guy probably falls somewhere in the 20 to 24% body fat range. The average American male is 28% body fat. And so I think his numbers are really, like his conception of what a given body fat percentage is or looks like is probably about 6% off.
How can he not know?
And 6% is a lot. That is a lot. That is a ton. And this is just absolutely horrendous advice that is absolutely going to hurt a lot of people. And his own comment section confirms this. Here's a comment. I'm an MMA fighter and I absolutely hate getting shredded before a fight. I can't focus, I'm hungry, I'm groggy, I just hate my life at that level of leanness. When I fought at sub 10%, I got absolutely destroyed. I'm never cutting below 10% body fat again. And when you see actual shredded, top, elite, natural bodybuilders, you very quickly realize that there is a next level of leanness that professional athletes just are not sniffing, right? Maybe you think, oh, like, they're 2% body fat based on the Navy method, or based on calipers, or based on a bioimpedance scale. Like, oh, Ronnie Coleman was -% body fat, right? Like, that tells you the measurements are kind of BS. But when you look at the visuals, and you compare top natural bodybuilder to kind of lean professional athlete, you very quickly realize that there is a big discrepancy there. And so if Geoff Cavaliere thinks that these examples he cited are 6 or even 8% body fat, he's either being dishonest or ignorant. Those are your two choices, really. Take your pick. Get it? Take your...
I think the big flaw to this method here, and again, that might piss some people off, but it is what it is. You are not Thor Bjornsson. Nope. You are not Eddie Hall. You are not one of the elite level competitors in strength and powerlifting and strongman. Likely not. I'm not saying everyone out there. I'm just saying that likely you are not. And what you're doing is you're applying these standards and these generalities to your own training.
Okay, so he can use hyper-optimized, airbrushed, tanned, well-lit posing photos of elite, professional, gold medal winning athletes, but someone can't look at a strongman or a powerlifter and use that as an example? Seems like a little bit of a double standard.
A lot of times as an excuse to not actually attempt to get leaner.
And he's assuming that leanness is always better. And I mean, to his credit, he says it's personal preference, it's subjective, etc. But to me, after watching a whole bunch of his videos, it's clear that he values leanness a lot. I mean, ATHLEAN-X, it's part of his brand. And when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
I've been able to stay pretty lean and also work on my strength to be pretty good, if I do say so myself.
So Jesse, as you can see in these clips here, now a 550-pound deadlifter.
Yep.
So I'll never hate on Jesse. He seems like a good dude, and it's been great seeing his progress. So, yeah, great job.
Someone might see Geoff Cavaliere level of leanness and say, wow, that looks great. And some might say, oh my God, that looks disgusting. And we get it every day. We hear it all the time.
So I agree that aesthetics are subjective, but all the time I get messages from young men who try to maintain or get to too lean of a physique, and they couldn't. They were hungry all the time. They felt tired. They just couldn't do it. Why did they have that goal?
That was the plan. Not a great plan.
Where did that goal come from? It didn't just come from nowhere, right? All of our ideas come from outside of us. And often it was social media. It came from these people promoting excessive leanness. People who are naturally lean or, and this is a general statement, who are enhanced, who are taking a bunch of stimulants or appetite suppressants and not talking about the dangers, the difficulties of maintaining too lean of a physique. People who are doing it because they have massive incentive because they're making hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars from their physique and they're fucking miserable, but their brand is leanness, so they can't really talk about it. They say, oh yeah, I'm doing great, but they look like death. They only look good when they have, the perfect lighting in the pump, etc. But they can't talk about that because it's their brand. And so all these young men are falling into this trap of trying to get to 10% body fat or 8% body fat or 6% body fat, and it takes them years to realize that they've kind of been hoodwinked.
You can achieve at higher body fat percentages than 6. Let's settle at 10.
Again, I don't think he actually knows what genuine 10% body fat is. It sounds like he's referring to a more moderate 13, 14, 15% body fat. Anything he says, I think you should probably just add 10%. If you did that, you'd probably be okay.
If you were to raise that number to 10% body fat instead of 6, I think that instead of 40% of people not being able to get there, you're looking at like 10% of people that can't get there.
Yeah.
So I don't think Geoff Cavaliere has actually worked with real people, just general population people who don't have elite genetics, who are not professional athletes. And try this on for size. Are elite athletes lean because of their diet and their activity, or are they naturally lean and that makes them good at sports? Right? Like if someone can maintain 6% body fat, like they're that 1 in 100,000 or 1 in a million person who actually can do that, they're going to have a significant sport advantage when it comes to sprinting or jumping, that type of thing that involves moving your body. So a lot of these elite professional athletes, they have it really, really good, and for the average person, it's just not going to happen, okay? So 90% of people are not going to succeed getting to 10% body fat. It's just not going to happen. And the fact that he can even say that kind of reveals that he's never worked with normal people.
Here's the other number. The 6%, I think there's maybe only 5% of people that can maintain that.
And yeah, I disagree with 5% of men could maintain 6%. It's probably more like 1 man out of 1,000 can maintain 6% body fat and feel completely fine. That is how rare it is. Maybe Mr. Cavaliere doesn't know how much of a rarity he is. I mean, it's impressive, right? It takes discipline and stuff. I'm not taking anything away from him, but he doesn't realize how good he has it.
Can we all stop using words to describe the level of leanness?
Like ripped and peeled.
I hope everyone can appreciate the heights of hypocrisy that his channel has reached, given how many videos he's put out with ripped or shredded in the title. I mean, dozens.
But other people's words may be different. Why are we talking in words? Because it's so subjective. Why don't we talk in objectivity by just talking about actual body fat percentages?
So I agree that words are not going to be ideal in every situation, but people are still going to use words. Also, if you use numbers, you have to get the numbers right. Okay, if you're describing 8 to 10 body fat percentage as smooth, it's not 8 to 10% body fat.
And again, 6% is not something that I think would be recommended to anybody, especially because the majority of people will never ever be able to either obtain it or maintain it.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone who recommends 6% body fat really has some serious issues and has no idea what they're talking about.
Being at a lower level of body fat is always going to allow you to look bigger and more muscular than you are.
100% agree. If you are a very lean 6% body fat, you will look huge. As long as you are shirtless, with a pump, under the right lighting, with optimized photos. Under those conditions, yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Now do it the way I'm showing you here. Breathe out and tighten down. Contract your abs forcefully. Be conscious of how hard you're contracting your abs. Make sure that you've expelled the air.
But if you're wearing clothing normally and you're 6% body fat and you're natural, you're gonna look small. You might even look, do you even lift? If you're wearing a sweatshirt, it's like wearing a fucking tent.
He wasn't a very muscular guy, but his level of leanness made the muscle he had, that sinewy, ripped muscle. I just used that word.
So I'm a fan of Bruce Lee. I really like, his work, but he might have had to do some extreme things to maintain his leanness.
You may not like this, but when you're talking about the social image of what a ripped person is,
Yeah.
it's going to be something that looks more like 10 than it does 15.
Yeah. This just in, water is wet. Yes, a 10% body fat person will look more ripped. Shocking. And then he goes into the final part of the video where he talks about no matter what, you're going to have to work hard. If you're trying to get to 6% body fat or you're trying to get stronger, you're going to have to put in the work, which is, super wholesome, and I don't disagree. I mean, how can you disagree with that? But I think it's important to note that some goals are just not realistic. Okay, so if the average person came to me and said, Jeff, I want you to coach me to get to 6% body fat. And I'm like, why? Are you going to try to maintain it? Yep, of course. I want to see if I'm one of those 5% that Jeff Cavaliere said can maintain 6% body fat year round, which I have trouble saying without laughing, but I would say no. I would say no, because it's not a realistic expectation, and I do think it is important to have at least a ballpark understanding of what is going to be realistic. And the larger the following you have, the greater your responsibility to put out information that will do no harm.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
And I think a lot of his content has done just that. Probably unknowingly, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but you do have a responsibility to check the information that you put out, particularly when it comes to body fat percentages, because there's a big difference between 6% and 12% body fat. And this is probably not as bad as breathe out before you squat, but certainly it can have negative consequences as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.